You're tuned in and now listening to the program Straight Talk with the United Independent Movement, presented by your host, Professor Aubrey and co-host, the President of the United Independent Movement, Jacques Taljaard, with our anchor, Chris Herodes from Port Elizabeth, and from time to time, along with various guests, only here on Joy Radio, every Thursday evening from 6:30 till 8 p.m. Here on this program, where nothing is held back, and where you will get straightforward answers and sincere talk about the daily events in South Africa. Yes, that's what affects every citizen in this country.
You are tuning here on Joy Radio, your companion and friend in Jesus. The following program is paid for and proudly brought to you by the United Independent Movement. This program contains political content. The views and opinions expressed in this program and broadcasts are those of the UIM and its representatives, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Joy Radio, its management team, sponsors, the owner or board of directors. This program is paid for by the United Independent Movement, which accepts full responsibility for its content in accordance with the Electoral Act and ICASA regulations. Joy Radio, your companion and friend in Jesus.
So yes, as you heard, it's that time of the week again. It's Thursday evening. It have just been 6:30, and you are tuned to the program Straight Talk with the United Independent Movement. And as usual, with me in the one corner is Chris Herodes. Chris, good evening. How are you doing this evening?
Good evening, Prof, and best wishes for the new year to all the listeners. I'm doing well. Thank you very much for having us, and I'm sure this year is going to be a nutcracker of a show.
I'm sure that we started off with a bang last week, and our president have joined us as well, Jacques Taljaard. Jacques, goeienaand en welkom terug. En ek is bly om te sien jy's terug veilig daar van jou verlof daar van jou ouers af.
Goeienaand Prof, goeienaand Chris, Benjamin, Cherise, Christo. Good evening to all the listeners. Yes, I'm back in Pretoria. I started working again yesterday. I've hit the ground running, and I'm already tired, but excited.
Ja, sal ons say join the club. And then we've got, of course, a regular by now, and that is the Secretary General, Christo Jonk. Christo, goeienaand en welkom weer eens vanaand by ons. Ek dink jou mic is af. Ja, ek dink Christus het bietjie daar. Ja, sê.
Ons sit so 'n bietjie daar, ons weer terug. Nee, soos jy sê, iewers is hier storm in die broei. Ek sê goeienaand Prof, ja, en goeienaand luisteraars. Baie dankie, dis altyd 'n voorreg hier om te wees, en vanaand ons is nog bevoorreg om 'n oulike mooi meisiekind ook saam ons te hê. So dis nogal nice om na die skerm te kyk.
Ja.
Dankie, Prof.
Ja, absoluut. Daarom iemand wat ons bietjie vrolikheid bring vanaand, dat dit nie net 'n klomp manne is nie. En ja, kom ons stel haar sommer in die woord. Dit is een van ons kandidate vir hierdie jaar se verkiesing ook, en sy is al die pad daar van George se wêreld af. Daar waar baie dinge gebeur. Cherise, welkom hierso op Joy Radio vir die eerste keer van baie kere wat dit nog gaan wees. So ja.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Prof. Aubrey, for having me on the show. Hello, President Jacques, Chris, Christu, and Benjamin. Well, some of you may know me, some of you may not. My name is Cherise Kotze. I am 33, and I'm from George in the Southern Cape or the Western Cape. I'm also the representative of the UIM here, and I'm also in the field officer for the LGE 2026 in the Southern Cape. I have joined the UIM in 2021. Saw Neil on Facebook telling the truth as it stands, as everybody knows he just spoke about the truth. Never did I think in my right mind I will be active in politics. But in April 2021, when I met Neil and Jacques for the first time, and the way that they spoke, the humbleness that came from them both blew my mind away. The municipality election took place in 2021, and I was part of it. In my ward, I placed 6 of 11 parties. Now, we must just remember that we only had 3 months of campaigning at that stage. So we were still very, very new party. So for me, that was a great achievement in 2021. I was nominated as a chairperson for an old age home here in Georgia as well, where for 3 years, whereby I had 160 pensioners that I had to take care of, look after, make sure that everything goes well. And it was a very good honor and privilege to have been part of that. I was last year, the residents actually asked me to come and help with the by-election as well, because the residents literally wants to do the nominations and everything on themselves and want to rule the old age home on their own. And I understand that 100%, because if you stay at the old age home, what better way to be in that place than somebody that's on the outside and doesn't see everybody every single day that is there. So complaints can go directly to the residents and they can really handle it. They've got the opportunity, they've got the sources and everything, so I support them 100% by that. The youth plays a very big role in my life, for they are our future. They need to know they have a voice and they can stand up for what is wrong. So the youth of today's voices are actually being cut. And it's time for them to arise. It's time for them to stand up for what they believe in. It's time for them to know that they are wanted in South Africa, that they don't need to go elsewhere to make a future for themselves. I'm busy with a plan for the youth, and the smaller details are being added now to my planning for the UIM. So when that is completed, then our amazing president will have the privilege of hearing what I have planned for them. So the youth out there who is listening, come and join the UIM, for we take your future seriously and we are looking out for you. Regarding Georgia at the moment, as of 2026, we have very strict water restrictions. If you use more than 10,000 liters of water per month, then you can get 6 months of jail. And that is not a joke. That it came out on Monday, and that was given through to the residents of George, that you're not allowed to use any more than 10,000 liters of water per month. And now with the fires that's also going on with Mossel Bay, and now that happened in George, the water is a massive problem. The dam is very low. There's, if I'm not mistaken, I think the dam is just under 50% full, and that is, as I said, it's a problem for George. The PA, regarding the political side, the PA is starting to make very big noise in George. They took 3 MMC members last year who had positions in the municipality. The PA is coming for George, and if the people's eyes does not go open, we are going to become like Beaufort West, never a Dubai that was promised, or like Knysna, always without water and sometimes without electricity as well. We cannot afford the PA to take control over the municipality, and that's a big, big, big exclamation mark for George, and the people really need to wake up. If that happens, then we've got very big problems in our area. And to prevent this, the DA, the Vryheid Front Plus, and the ACDP came to a conclusion of a coalition. And our mayor, Jacques, she stood off and became the chief whip, whereby most people probably think that it is a less and a lower position. But the chief whip is actually also somebody that tells the mayor what to do. So, and then the ex-deputy mayor became now the mayor of George, Brown Johnson, who is also part of the DA, and Gert van Niekerk, who is the Vryheidsfront Plus, became the deputy mayor. Now, this was a decision that was made regarding that because to keep the PA out of the municipality. To be honest, I think it was a good decision. And if you look at the percentage in the municipality, if they have not done that, and the PA receives an X amount of votes in the municipality with the by-elections that is taking place now this month, then the PA could be part of the ruling party in the municipality. And that's a big, big shock. Where I'm sitting, as you all know, I think most of you know, Mossel Bay is being burned down in a pot. And the residents with the fire, it is taking place. Some of the residents have lost their homes. Some of the residents have lost animals. And it's very bad. We got news this morning that they got the fire under control, but it's not fully contained. And that was this morning, around 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock this afternoon. The wind came and the fire literally jumped the road. And it made everything worse again, from the start to go again. And it's bad. It's really, if you can look at what's going on at that station, you see what's going on Facebook, you see the videos, it's not good. But now what the political parties are doing, for instance, the PA, they are saying it's a political problem, whereby you can't actually cause the cause of a nature hazard that happened. But they are trying to gain brownie points, whereby politicians does that. My heart is for the people of South Africa. Sometimes when I read about things or hear stuff, then I feel I want to take a negative away, because we need to start working together. The racial card still gets thrown left, right, and center. And I've seen numerous times here in George, and especially now with the fires that are taking place. We need to move on, people. We need to get past that line in our lives, because it's the past. We need to move forward and see to the future, because our future is something that we need to look at. Also, we need to become active. We need to stand together. And for those people who are sitting in the lazy boy, it's time to rise up. It's time to stand up and say, enough is enough for our country. Get out there, give your say, and be the help that needs to be changed, and start doing things that needs to be done. You see, the problem is, it's not just in our world, it's not just in South Africa, it's the entire world that has this. People are thinking of, you know what, Sunny Yanni Pity has been born for a situation like this, or a time period as what we are in now, to start and save South Africa. But it's not that. We stop thinking like that. Stop thinking other people will get the job done. We need to do it ourselves. You need to start doing the change. You need to be there. You need to be active. And in George, to be an active person for our side, we need to be visible. And we need to start going out. We need to make people aware of what is going on there. There's a lot of people that don't have televisions. There's a lot of people that don't have cell phones. Even though we think everybody has that technology for going out, for seeing things on social media. But as I went out to, for instance, Borchards, Pakkelsdorp, all those type of places, people don't have the facilities. It's poor out there. And it's for us to go out, tell the people what to do. Otherwise, with the 2026 elections that is taking place, we're going to fall back to the same position. Everybody's still going to vote for the ANC. Everybody's still going to vote for the EFF, because we don't have people that is standing up for the right things. And as I said, people, it's time to rise up, shine, and say what you need to say. And that is part of what I'm going to start doing now in George. We have our first meeting with a few people in this week, whereby I will start asking them how we can go out, because for me as a lady, we can't do it alone. It's not safe, it's dangerous, and we need that support behind us. But what I want to say is, some people always have asked me already in the past and that, how do I see politicians? And to put everything in a nutshell, I want to share this with you guys, because this is for me like a mic drop. I see politicians as a piece of steak. Now, some of you might wonder, a piece of steak. Why steak? Now, let me explain to you, because I had a very good thought about this. A well-done piece of steak is the following. Now, as I'm going to say about this, you can put the puzzles together at which political party I'm talking about in which part of a steak. A well-done steak is the politicians that has good intentions, but does not get hurt because they know everything but cannot say a word. They have all the hardcore information. They are overcooked because they don't share. Medium to well. Well, Neil was an example of a medium to well piece of steak. He had the juice, he had the tender, he had the taste that everyone wanted because it was so good, and he had the truth. Now here's where the best part is coming. Medium to rare, the politicians that are in parliament sitting with the rare steak, who can make a difference but does not want to take the chance of burning too much because they can get kicked out of parliament for speaking the truth. So what do? They stay in the middle where it's cozy and play the game safe. Now the rare piece of meat of steak. That is the meat that has not been burned, not has been cooked or anything, is raw. This is the leading party. They are raw. They have all the tender, all the power to become a fantastic medium to well piece of steak. And be good health because they can be of so much more potential. But what did the leading party choose to do? They chose to be in the front, doing nothing, just collect the oxygen out. And now what is happening? No one wants them. They are rotting. And the termites are coming out one by one. And that's from me.
Thank you, Cherise. Yeah, if I can just ask you this question on the steak side. I hope it's not rum steak that they mess up like that, first of all. And secondly, what piece of steak would the UIM be?
The UIM is the medium to rare, the medium to rare, and the medium to well. Because the medium to well is, they are there, they speak, they say, and they don't cut a bush, or they don't cut a corner on a bush. So they are straightforward to the point. And to be honest, a medium to well steak, everybody wants it. And everybody wants the truth. And everybody wants to know exactly what's going on in South Africa. And we are not afraid to say it.
Well, let's hope that after tonight, that everybody who's tuned in, especially there from the George area, is going to say from now on, my steak is going to be medium to well. I don't want anything else on my plate, and hopefully that will go for the rest of South Africa again. Right, let's bring on our next guest and our next candidate, and that is none other than from my area here in Mfuleni, Sebedeng, Waal Triangle, whatever they want to call it, and there's none other than the person who always participates every week on the WhatsApps with us, Benjamin Honeyball. Welcome, Benji.
Goeienaand prof en al ons luisteraars en ons panel hier op die radiostasie vanaand. Goeienaand aan julle almal. Cherise, jy het omtrent baie gesê en ek moet nou probeer kyk of ek myne kan kort maak sodat ons al die inligting van vanaand se stories kan inkry. So ek gaan deur dit vinnig gaan. My naam is Benjamin Honeyball and I am a UIM representative in Mfuleni. But more importantly, I'm a resident. I stand in the same queues, drive the same broken roads, and deal with the same water problems as everyone listening tonight. I didn't join politics to talk about people. I joined because I am part of the people. When we talk about Mfuleni, we are not talking about statistics. We are talking about daily life. We wake up not knowing if there will be water. We put the bins out and hope that trucks comes at night. We dodge the potholes on the way to work We walk carefully at night because the streetlights don't work. Dis nie stories nie, dis ons lewe. I sit with goggles who worry about water for the medication. I speak to the young people who can't get to work because of taxis avoiding damaged roads. I hear parents who are tired of reporting the same problems with no nonsense. This is not acceptable. It should not be normal. The problem in Mfuleni is not that people don't care. The problem is that when things go wrong, no one takes responsibility. A pipe burst, big pass, refuse is skipped, silence is kept, street lights goes out, nothing happens, en ons almal word moeg en klaar, maar niks verander nie. That is not a lack of plans, that is a lack of accountability. So what is the way forward? Not big promises, it's basic respect. We start with basics, water that runs, refuse that is collected, roads we can drive, lights that can keep us safe. But here's the difference, we measure it. If a service fails, someone must explain to the community, not just in an office. If it keeps failing, there must be consequences. Communities must be part of the solution, not just during elections, every day. When people are heard, they stop feeling angry. When there is a feedback, trust begins to return. So I joined the UIM because it speaks the same language as the people, honesty. We don't pretend things are fine. We don't protect failure. We believe leadership must be close enough to feel the pain of the community. Ons vat nie nonsens nie, maar ons luister. Mfuleni, where I am, Val van der Bijl, belongs to all of us. If it fails, we all feel it. If it works, we all benefit. The way forward is simple. Fix the basics, respect the people, and hold leadership accountable. It's not speaking to you tonight. I am here standing with you, Mfuleni, the people of Mfuleni. Thank you. Dankie.
Thank you, Benjamin. Yes, he's very, so I say, I don't know if he's shy or what, but I just want to, for the listeners, just to bring it into them, that he's also the deputy chair of Mfuleni's branch, and he's also the local government election for Gauteng's leader. So, yeah, and that's why, as he says, he keeps them accountable. That does happen, and I can testify to that. Ja, Christo, jy het jou hand opgehad.
Ja, ek wil net weer sê dat jy weet hierdie verkiesing gaan meer oor wees van weet hoe gaan ons die land stabiliseer as oor wie gaan wen. So ek dink nie, weet dit is weer eens belangrik dat ons mense besef, die kiesers daar buite, hoe ons moet kies, waarvoor ons moet kies. En dit waaroor Benjamin nou gepraat het in series, gaan oor met diens, en hoe gaan ons dit regkry? So dit gaan nie oor wie wen nie, dit gaan oor wie en hoe gaan ons hierdie munisipaliteite weer stabiliseer en suksesvol maak.
Ja, ek net hier kan inkom op baie punt. Ek dink die groot probleem huidiglik is die stigma wat daar is dat baie van die ander partye het in die verlede het hulle ook hierdie diens voorgehou en al die beloftes gemaak. Maar die moment toe hulle verkies is en in die stoele kom, toe word hulle base en hulle is nie meer klase nie. Toe wil hulle gedien word. Ek het vandag en ek het gister ook aan mense gesê dat hulle moet besef, hulle werk vir ons, normale mense hier buitekant op die pad en op die straat en wat by die erfbelastings betaal en die belastings en daai goed betaal. Ons werk nie vir hulle nie, hulle werk vir ons. En ons moet begin opstaan en daai verantwoordelikheid vat om hulle te sê, luister, ek werk nie vir jou nie, jy werk vir my, so begin jou job doen. Of, as die mens dit eers, as hulle, dis die kiesers dit eers gaan begin doen, dan sal ons 'n groot verandering begin sien. Cerise, jy het ook jou hand opgehad. Oh, nee, okay. Right, I think let's start with And I want to start with a point this evening. And interesting, a couple of weeks ago, when they started with the interviews and the shortlisting, etc., for the new director of prosecutions, on this program, we actually said, and I think if my memory is correct, Crystal said that Cupcake Ramaphosa is just going to put somebody out in who he wants to put in. It's not this whole process, what is happening, is just for the show. Because they need to adhere to the Constitution, etc., and so forth. And that have exactly happened. Not one of the 6 candidates were found to be fit out of the 36 who they shortlisted it. So that is questions. I mean, I saw Ramaphosa now appointed was Advocate Andy Motibi as the new public prosecutor from 1st of February. And there's already places, institutions like Cape Forum, already starting with their concerns regarding race, regarding age, and they're also questioning the panel, what actually said. And actually, this advocate Harmonia Cronje, she's actually well outspoken about it, because she said here is definitely a big snake in the grass. Chris, maybe you can give us an update, because I know you followed the story, and I think President also actually followed this one quite closely.
Prof, yes, 100%. We all knew this was going to happen. The short list, the original list, he wasn't happy with. The second list was given, and on the second list there were some very prominent people with a lot of experience. It was a better demographic spread, and after our discussion, where we both felt that he's probably going to go with somebody not on those lists. We were hopeful that there were a couple of candidates there that had the experience. Prof, this is just another way I feel, and bearing in mind this is just my opinion, is that I'm hoping that this gentleman he's put in place will not play the fiddle according to what Ramaphosa wants, and actually do his job and prosecute what has to be prosecuted. But from what I understand, he's not going to be filling this role for long. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's about 19 months, and then they'll be going through this process again. Now, with the current political things being the way they are, I think Cyril has to protect himself. He has to galvanize a position where no fingers can be pointed at him. The ANC at the moment is not standing in a good light, which is a great thing for us. But I think that the whole house of cards is falling, and he's trying to galvanize himself into a position where people are not going to be asking questions for at least the next 19 months.
Yeah, I hear what you said, Chris. I want to ask Jacques, from a legal point of view, if this Andy Motibi, if he doesn't toe the line, because obviously, I mean, if a president put you in a position, I'm sure they have had discussions beforehand. Hulle het hulle koek en tee gehad, dis verseker. Can he fire him just like that or not?
Prof, ja, hy kan hom fire, as ek nou for lack of a better word. Ons het mos nou allemaal gesien, President Ramaphosa doen net wat hy wil in die case. So, al is daar nou wette in plek wat nou teenstrydig is met sommige van hierdie besluite wat geneem word. Ek dink ons is nou al mooi groot genoeg om te besef dat nie van hierdie wette word maar toegepas soos wat sekere mense hulle wil toepas. So, ek persoonlik dink, ek is nie geskok nie, ek is nie geskok oor die aanstelling nie. As jy kyk na Ramaphosa se geskiedenis van aanstellings, hy kan nie 'n donkie se agtersteewe met 'n banjo raakslaan. Maar ons hoop nou maar hierdie keer weet in lig van die, hoe sê hulle, in light of what's been happening on the Madlanga Commission, hoop ons nou hierdie keer 'n bietjie gaan dink vir 'n slag. definitief dit sou gewees het, of dit was nie, maar daai proses was nie, maar the proof is in the pudding, prof, ek gee nie regtig om wie hulle kies nie. Op die einde van die dag gaan daai persoon moet, jy weet, he's gonna have to come to the party, hy gaan moet perform. Weet, en ek weet nie of daar enigstens, of van hierdie politikuste van ons, of hierdie landsleiers van ons enige slapelose nagte het, as dit kom by resultate, of by, hoe sê hulle, wat kan skeefloop nie, ek kan dit baie beter in Engels stel. I don't think they necessarily think of the repercussions in most of these decisions that they take. We do, because obviously we don't want to make decisions that come back and bite us in the end. I don't think the majority of our country's leadership are of the same viewpoint. So, I don't know, Prof, it's difficult. I don't want to judge him now. I don't want to say anything bad or negative about this appointment or the person that has been appointed. I think he's going to have to get his chance, and he's going to have to prove himself. I read a bit about him. I read some articles on his past experience and his credentials. He's a guy that has a legal background. Apparently, he was a very good head of the Special Investigation Unit or Investigative Unit. But, you know, that's relevant. It's, what's the word? Depends on what your reference point is. You know, for some people, he might have been an excellent head of the Special Investigation Unit, but for others, it depends on what your criteria, it depends on the criteria that you are using to judge. I haven't done enough background or enough research on this guy, but he comes with the credentials, and he doesn't seem to have much to improve on in terms of previous appointees. So I don't think he's got too much of a tough job to improve on what the previous, the previous candidate did. If you look at what happened in the Midlands Commission. So, but I'm hoping, Prof, I'm always hoping. I'm always positive, and I'm always hopeful, and I'm always hoping that some of these things and some of these decisions are going to turn out for the better, especially for us as South Africans. So he is hoping for the best, but at the end of the day, he will be judged, and the public will need to stand up when that time comes and when it's necessary. But let's hope this is a step in the right direction, at least as far as the national MPA is concerned. But that's my view.
Well, let's hope just that he brings in the correct, the right cricket balls with him, but he doesn't bring the wrong color of cricket balls with him, but he brings the right ones for the right match what he has to play. That will be just at the end of the day. Christo, wil jy iets bygevoeg het?
Ja, ek net aansluit by Jacques, Prof, is dat, hy was hoof van die Special Investigation Unit, en blijkbaar het hy baie goeie job daar gedoen. En natuurlijk kom hy ook deur die rang, hy was 'n prosecutor en 'n magistraat en al daai tipe van dinge. So, maar iemand boekie bring nie somer nie. So, hy het bietjie werk. Ek dink, of aan die binnekant, soos die deep state wat hulle noem, daar is baie werk nodig, maar kom ons hoop en bid dat hy die job gedoen sal kry en begin by 'n punt.
Ja, soos hulle sê, nuwe besemvee altyd skoon, kom ons hoop by vee ordentlik skoon. Maar as ons 'n bietjie kyk, ek sien die openbare beskerming het hierso in die derde kwartaal, het hulle 768 ondersoeke gehad van die 25-26 boekjaar. En wat hulle afgehandel het teen 31 Desember. En onder daai 768 sluit onder andere 638 diensleweringsklagtes, 107 sake oor goeie regering en integriteit. Wel, daai goeie regering weet ek nie so mooi van nie, maar let's leave it by that. Nog minder die integriteit en 23 vroeër resolusies in. Nou, die ding is vir my, hulle het nou al hierdie bevindings gemaak, byvoorbeeld oor Noordwes provinsie, die swak paaie. Ons weet die paaie is absoluut kapot, en is nie net daar nie, is hier die hele land vol. Nou, sê hulle ja, dit is 'n probleem in dit, wat gaan daarmee gebeur? Jy weet in Mpumalanga, die een van die sake wat hulle nou uitgewys het, daarso is, voertuigmisbruik deur staatsamptenare in die brandstofkaart, hulle brandstofkaarte wat hulle het, daai lekker petrolkaart, né, wat hulle misbruik het. Maar daar word niks gepraat van was die aanbevelings nie. Moet hierdie ouens krimineel aangekla word en dis meer nie. En so ja, dit is, en hulle het 'n hele lys gepubliseer vanoggend daar, hierdie laaste week gehad, daar ook en so aan. Maar ten minste kry ons nou uitslaa oor wat hulle doen en wat het, en hoe hulle voel daaromtrent. Nou, ek is nou nie 'n regsgeleerde en julle almal weet dit in hierdie tyd, maar het die openbare beskerming nog regtig waar tande en kloue om te gebruik? Of is dit nou maar nadat die vorige, wel ons praat nie van die vorige ene, nadat sy weg is, advokaat wat Tumelere of so iets, kan nie eens meer onthou nie. Het hulle nog gebyt?
Prof, this is what you call activity masquerading as accomplishment. And I'm thinking there's a quote that I would like to quickly just, I would like to express myself by quoting somebody. And that quote goes as follows: sow a thought, reap an action. Sow an action, reap a habit. Without results, it's barren soil. So yes, the public prosecutor has the power to initiate action. But this is, like I said, I mean, to me, this is activity masquerading as accomplishment. It's, we are South Africans, or not South Africans, the leadership of this country, they seem to be experts at investigating stuff. But when it comes to action and fixing stuff, they are absolute palookas. So we're not interested in knowing what's wrong. We know what's wrong. We read about it every day. We see it every day. We're not interested in that. We are interested in what's going to be done about it. We are interested in results. If you want to publish a report and tell us what you fixed. That's the report I'm interested in. I'm not interested in a report that explains or tells us about all the investigations that have taken place and all the findings and all the problems that you have identified. We're not interested in that. We're not stupid. We live in this country. We live and breathe the air of this country every single day. We know what's wrong. We want to know what is going to happen. We also don't even want to know what the plans are, because they've got plenty of plans. Every year we have our State of the Nation spiel. When Ramaphosa does his, or President Ramaphosa rather, when he does his State of the Nation address, they come up with a whole bunch of elaborate plans and solutions and all kinds of nonsense. But I'm not even interested in that. I said on previous shows, I've said, and this is a quote from Neil de Beer himself. Neil used to say that, there's the old phrase or the old saying that goes, practice what you preach. And he said that's the wrong way of using that phrase. It should be preach what you practice. So fix stuff and then tell us about it. That's what we want to know.
Absolutely.
Demonstrate it to us. Demonstrate what you can do. Don't tell us about the problems. We know about the problems. Don't tell us about the solutions either. We want to know. Give us the testimonials. We want to know how. We want a report on what has been fixed and how well it's functioning or running or whatever. That's what we want. That's what we are interested in.
Absolutely. Chris, yes, you want to add something?
Yes, Prof. If you remember, I think the lady's name that you were trying to remember was Tuli Madonsela.
That's it, yeah.
When she got a little bit too boisterous and started to bring up all the shortcomings of the ANC government, she was quickly shut up and removed from her position. If you remember correctly, and there was a big stink about it, and this once again is my opinion, ever since then your public prosecutors have been pretty muted when it's come to, your public protectors have been pretty subdued when it's come to actually getting anything done. They've had to toe the line where she didn't toe the line, and I mean she got hammered for it, so a lot of respect I had for her, but let's see what the next one does. But Jacques is 100% correct. You know, we all wake up in the morning with, well, I can't say all, let me say it this way. People who believe in the future of this country and the UIM members wake up with a positive attitude every morning, and what can they do for this country? Yes, those of us, but there are some other people that wake up in the morning and what can they take from this country? And that's the attitude that we as the UIM have to re-educate people and say we need to give back, not take anymore. We need to stand together and not need a public protector, but we ourselves need to protect each other to let this country go forward.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for that. Okay, last week we end off very quickly and we spoke about the children of this country and what is happening to them. And in the meantime, we saw now in media, all of a sudden, MMCs, ministers are so shocked. Wow, they're so very shocked. They were struck so hard by lightning to be so shocked of all of this crisis of teenage pregnancies. It's not a shock anymore. It will be a shock if it doesn't happen. Because if you look back at the Easter weekend figures, what they gave earlier last year, that was just enormous as well. The previous year's birth rate figures of teenagers who gave birth, and I'm talking about underage, was tremendous high. New Year the same. Now this year, there's no difference. I mean, nothing has changed. If you look at it, that over the so-called Christmas period, the 714 babies what was born, right? 30 of that was to teenage mothers, with the youngest one, 15 years of age. So she must have been 14 when she became impregnated. I mean, the oldest one was 19. So over the New Year, the same. I mean, there was also a huge lot of them. And I mean, there also the youngest over New Year were 14. 14. And there was a total of 160 of them out of the 1,669 babies what were born over New Year. So if we look at 160 and we look at the 16, you're talking about 176 in a 2-week period of teenagers who became mothers. Children who need to raise children. Now, we got a major problem. This is an epidemic, it's a disaster in this country. But if you look at social media, if you see videos what is floating around, youngsters 8, 9, 10, 11 running around with alcohol. And when MMCs, ministers want to say, listen, I don't, because they got it in their mouth, I can't see if it's open or not. But on the one video, you can clearly see the young girl, I don't think she's older than 11, running with that flying fish, with what spills out all over and that. So it's open. And they said, we can't say it's open, but we have to investigate. What is there to investigate? That children shouldn't have alcohol in their hands in the first instance. The parents should be charged because it's negligence on their side. But unfortunately, this has become the norm in this country. And Sharich, you who are heading up the youth for the UIM, I mean, that is where, and the youth is the future of this country. That is through and through. And Benjamin have said it many times, discipline. Children has got too many rights, and there's too little discipline what has been enforced. So, let's open up the floor for the panel. I see Christa was first on the button, ja. Dis amper soos noot vir noot vanaand. Ek sien julle gooi kompetisie.
Dankie, Prof. Ja. Prof, ja, ons kan oor hierdie goed praat, maar die grootste enkele probleem oor hierdie jong swangerskappe gaan oor armoede. Jy weet, as ek gaan kyk daar waar daai kinders groot word, in die omstandighede waar hulle groot word, word hulle verkoop. Hulle word met transaksies handel mee gedryf.
Ja.
So die ouers kan drank kry en die kinders as hulle uitgepas het die bottel kan oorvat. So dis absoluut 'n groot probleem hoekom hierdie kinders swanger word. En dan natuurlik, weer eens ons praat oor die arm kinders wat daar in die Janse vloot word. Dis beperkte toegang tot sy tienervriendelike voorbehoeding. Hulle het geen education daaroor nie. Die oomblik as daai meisiekinders begin eens word hulle either verkrag of hulle word deur hulle paas gemolesteer of broers. So as mens hierdie hele situasie gaan kyk, die omstandighede, hoekom daar so 'n krisis is. En natuurlik, die kinders van die skool toe nie. Die skool is absoluut in daai area so swak gemanage, dat hulle mis hulle nie eers nie. So daar is geen iemand wat uitkyk na hierdie meisietjie of ding nie. En as sy swanger word, 'n broer word daai een kant gegooi met 'n swart pot en nou moet sy ma speel. So, niemand kyk verder na hulle en hulle kry SASSA. Dis die ander ding waaroor hulle gedryf word en swanger gemaak word, is dat hulle SASSA kry. En 10-1 kry hulle nie eers die SASSA nie. Die mense wat na hulle supposed to be kyk, hulle ouers, hulle kry die SASSA. So, daar was 'n vreeslike storie agter die ding. En dis baie ligtelik om dit so oor ding te praat. Ek dink mense moet 'n spesialis kry om oor die situasie te praat. En ons is gelukkig waar ons groot word en ons kinders groot word. En daai plekke dis verskriklik. Ek bedoel ons kyk net na wat gebeur het met hierdie klomp laaitjies van Ethiopië wat hulle nou hier in Mornings uitgekry het. En 'n fancy buurt hier in Joburg wat weggekom het. Maar wat was die plan met hulle? Hulle word verkoop, hulle organe word verkoop. So hulle word getoets nou vir wat se bloedgroep hulle het en teen die aand word hy geslag en môre het iemand anders in sy long of hart. Dis 'n verskriklike situasie wat aangaan hieronder en 90% van die hele situasie word deur foreigners bedryf.
Ja, dit is 'n bose.
So ons kyk na hierdie ding en ja, dit is met die krisis met die swangerskappe, maar hier's 'n verskriklike boosheid aan die gang met ons kinders, met almal se kinders en ek praat van ons almal se kinders. Daar hulle word nie protek nie. Hulle word verkoop, hulle word gegooi vir die duiwel.
Ja, nee, dit is waar wat jy daar sê.
Mense word miljonêers uit hulle uit.
Die vraag is net, kan ons as UIM 'n verskil maak? Maar ja, Cherise, as jeug, as iemand wat 'n verskil wil maak met die jeug, what is your opinion on this?
I would rather say the main thing is about the Minister of Education that actually took away the rot, if I can say it like that. There's no discipline, as what you said, Benjamin said the previous time, and as when Crystal also said, yes, our youth are being sold out because there's a lot of fathers that doesn't have their wives anymore because the wife passed away during pregnancy, giving birth to the child. And now what's happening? There's no funds, so they give the child out for prostitution work. And some of the fathers actually handles that child themselves, and therefore they say there's a saying that says vroeg ryp vroeg vrot. And that is our biggest problem in our country. And now the Minister of Education literally wants to give that education of how to handle yourself in a way that is supposed to be when you're an adult from the age of 12 already, if not younger. So what happens? You as a youngster, your mind is still being born, if I can say it like that. It still gets educated. Now you get that senses in your mind of, oh, what is this teacher talking about here? What is this teacher talking about here? Let me go and experience what is happening. But the teachers don't explain to them that if you do this, then you're going to end up with a baby. They don't always say everything as what it needs, what it's actually supposed to be. They only give the tip of the point of the iceberg for the students. And another thing is also some of the youth of today that I've actually noticed a lot with the youth, around 15, from 15 actually, they date older men, way older than what they are. And what happens? Human rights. I've got the right to do what I want to do. Because that specific thing of if you do something wrong, then you get punished. that has been taken away. There's no punishment anymore. So now the 15-year-old is going out with a 27-year-old guy, whereby they say it's love, but it's not love, it's lust. And what happens is that gentleman push himself onto that lady, and she thinks, oh, this guy loves me, he wants to spend the rest of my life with me, and then she falls pregnant. The mom and the dad doesn't actually say anything, because we're in an era where the parents doesn't care about what happens to their child, because, oh, guess what? We're gonna get money for the child, for the grandkid. So who cares? That is our mindset that we have in South Africa at the moment, and it's actually, from my side, it's no other word than the word disgusting. So we need to bring back the law of punishment to the children and start educate them on an age that is appropriate and not irrelevant for the child. A child still needs to be in the ground, still has to go and play with little cars and be a child, not an adult at the age of 15.
Yeah, and the law should be enforced. Statutory rape is statutory rape. But that also doesn't happen anymore. We are aware of a case, I think she's 13, he's in his 50s, and the parents, is with parents' consent. And I believe we also heard that she's also pregnant, so. But yeah, but that is where the problem comes in. Parents also don't care. Kids, they become a burden for them, in a matter of fact, and then they just let them go. You're right, Benjamin, I know you got a lot to say about this. You always do.
Prof, dis een van my seerpunte hier en ek is bly Cherise is hierso want sy is die olie en ek is die water. So ek gaan nou daai smaak soos wat jy olie op water gooi nou. Vir my tienerswangerskappe wat hierdie vlakke bereik is nie net 'n gesondheidskwessie nie. Dit is iets wat ons almal se samelewing moet raak. Laat ek dit van die begin af duidelik stel. Ons kan nie die kind blameer nie. 14, 15-jarige meisie wat geboorte gee, is self nog 'n kind. Sy is bang, onseker en skielik verantwoordelik vir 'n lewe. Volwassenes het haar lank voor hierdie baba gebore is in die steek gelaat. As ons vra waar hierdie probleem begin, moet ons eerlik wees. Dit begin by die huis. Ouerskap vandag is nie maklik nie. Baie ouers sukkel. Hulle werk lang ure en dra al eie laste. Maar dit dikwels in 'n poging om konflik te vermy, raak ons eerder vriende as gidse vir ons kinders. Grense verdwyn, leiding ontbreek en kinders word net te vinnig groot sonder om gevolge van volwasse keuses te verstaan. So ons sien ook 'n afbreek van waardes en respek wanneer so iets gebeur. Nie omdat ouers nie omgee nie, maar omdat ondersteuning en struktuur wegval. Wanneer kinders groot maak, gaan die sirkel aan en aan en aan. Die regering dra ook 'n groot verantwoordelikheid hier. Jy kan nie net oor kinderregte praat sonder om ouers terselfdertyd te ondersteun nie. Gesinne het leiding, hulpbronne en gemeenskapsondersteuning nodig. Nie net beleid op papier nie, wanneer ondersteuning ontbreek, val dissipline en struktuur weg. En die kinders betaal die prys. So voorkoming is waar ons die meeste val. Ja, skole speel 'n rol, maar onderwysers kan nie net alleen groot maak nie. Klinieke kan dienste lewer, maar hulle kan nie gesinne en gemeenskappe vervang nie. So sonder ouers en gemeenskappe se betrokkenheid is opvoeding alleen nie genoeg nie. En dan sien ons die hartseer gevolge. Babas wat deur golgos grootgemaak word, jong moeders wat uit skool val, kinders wat in die stelsel beland, prof weet ek sukkel self met so situasie, en gesinne wat dieper in armoede sink. As ons ernstig is oor verandering, moet ons vroeër begin. Ouerskap versterk en ondersteun, gesinne ondersteun, nie net beleid nie, ook praat oor waardes, gevolge en verantwoordelikheid, en ophou om eers te reageer wanneer 'n kind reeds swanger is. Dit gaan nie oor vingerwys nie. Dit gaan oor beskerming. Maar die waarheid is, ons faal ons kinders lank voordat hulle ooit geboorte gegee het. En ons almal het 'n rol om dit te verander.
Baie dankie daarvoor Benjamin vir daai insette van jou af. Ek wil die paneel net vra en miskien kan ons president vir ons miskien hierso 'n moontlike aanduiding gee. Kom ons gaan van die vooruitstelling uit dat die UIM vat die regering oor. Ons kom in bewind. Nie net op nasionale vlak nie, provinsiale vlak en plaaslike vlak ook. Wat gaan ons doen om hierdie goed te verbeter?
Wel prof, ons gaan definitief ander besluite maak en ander besluite nie. Ek bedoel, dit gaan oor leierskap hier. Ek stem 100% saam met wat Benjamin gesê het. 100%. As ek dit nou in Engels kan sê, the economic pressure in this country and poverty, I mean, who's to blame for our economic decline in South Africa? In the first place, you must ask that question. Why have we declined so significantly economically in South Africa? Because this economic pressure has put a significant amount of pressure on families and homes in South Africa. It has led to broken homes. These are symptoms of a failed government. It's a symptom of, so all these things that we discussed now, these teenage pregnancies, these are symptoms of government's failure, poverty, economic pressure that has led to broken homes, and that leads to broken homes, which then leads to these other social issues that we are discussing tonight. And another one is cultural shifts. Cultural shifts are a big thing that happen amongst the people of the world, for that matter. There's, about woke culture in South Africa, in the world. Woke culture is something that we fight against daily. We are vehemently against, let's call it so-called woke culture. And these are all contributing factors to all these social and moral issues that we are, that are happening in South Africa. I mean, and under woke culture, you can list stuff like social media. The media glorifying sex, reduced religious abstinence emphasis. People are moving away from conservative values. They are moving away from biblical values or religious, or let's call them spiritual values. They are getting more and more entangled in this poisonous woke culture that exists in the world, and that coupled with the economic pressure that we are experiencing in South Africa, these are all contributing factors. And teenage pregnancies and teenage alcoholism and all these things that affect our children are byproducts of this. They are symptoms. And it's very simple. What will the UIM do differently? Well, we are going to fight against these things. We're going to stand up against these things. We are against woke culture. Children are children, and they should be treated as such. And you know what? If that means that we have to implement a few laws and a few rules and regulations in South Africa that are probably not going to make us the most popular people around, then so be it. Sometimes it takes, to make an omelette, you've got to break a few eggs. But at the end of the day, you'll get a good result from it.
Absolutely.
But, we need leaders with backbone that can stand up and that are willing to face the criticism that they are going to receive from the left, from woke culture. And we need to make certain decisions for the benefit of this country and for the benefit of the people of this country, especially our children. But this whole business of kids being treated as adults, or kids children, I won't say. I mean, obviously they have rights. I mean, but kinders is kinders. As ek met in Afrikaans kan sê, kinders is kinders, en groot mense is groot mense. Dis hoe ons groot gemaak is. En ek bedoel, daar's niks fout met 'n bietjie. There's nothing wrong with being a little more conservative than usual in certain instances when it comes to, especially when it comes to children. But this attitude of everybody's just allowed to do whatever the hell they want to do because they've got rights is bullshit. Oh, sorry, excuse me. Nonsense. Ek is nou op Joy Radio vra om verskoning, maar dit is 'n partykeer met die mense wat maar sê soos dit is.
Ja, nee, die ding is net, jy weet, daar's 'n sê wat daar's 'n gesegde wat sê dat 'n goeie pak slaap die regte tyd het nog niemand skade aangebring het. And I just want to, before we go over to our last topic, and I think everybody is waiting for us to start with that one. Yes, a question from Leon. He said, I have a question for the panel. So due to the youth under development caused by the ANC and the Government of National Unity mismanagement at the moment has caused that some white Afrikaner youth turn to the EFF for growth. What did the Afrikaner community do to cause this issue with their own youth? And can the UIM actually be the solution to turn this issue around? And I actually think, Jacques, you actually answered this in your statement, what you've just made. But we cannot make a difference. We cannot make changes if we are not put in the position to do it. That's how simple it is in the end of the day. If people want change, put the right people in the right seats to do that change for you. Now, yeah, let's talk USA versus Venezuela. And it's not soccer, that's for sure. It's not boxing. It's not rugby. It's not cricket. No. South Africa came from a side, from a blind spot. They fought and they lashed out at the USA over illegal unilateral violence, as they call it, for what the USA have done in Venezuela, capturing the dictator president and his wife, and took them to America. Now, the presidency, they issued their official statements, and then our ANC Secretary General, little Fikile, he came and said, yes, you know what? This is imperialist aggression. I say that this is imperialist aggression because we stand with dictatorship. We stand with Venezuela and what happened there. And so they condemn it. Obviously, everybody is condemning it who can condemn it. Because they also said it's a serious violation of international and national sovereignty. And they say this alleged kidnapping, I don't know where it's alleged, because this president Nicolas Maduro has been kidnapped, he's been taken captive, he's been taken to America. It's not alleged, he's there. He's already appeared in court, he and his wife. So there's no alleged in that. Well, they say it's a threat to Venezuela's national integrity, but also to the world's peace, stability. So, yeah, so they've got a point on it, the government's got a point on it, and then we got this big guy from Durko, this Clayson Moniela, and he said, you know what, I've got a solution. And he made a public response and he said that South Africa should pursue nuclear weapons as a deterrent against the USA. If that is going to help, I don't know. But he reckons that's the way we would go. Maybe already knocked on the door of Iran or China or somewhere to ask them, listen, have you got some nuclear weapons lying around somewhere that we can use? I don't know. But yeah, it is major. I mean, news is still running worldwide. But Trump is not backing down. And I mean, his spokespersons, his people just said, and they actually made the comment and said, the world needs to realize, if Trump says something, he's going to do it. His yes is his yes and his no is his no. He doesn't threat. He doesn't threaten people. If he tell you, I'm going to do this, you must make sure and be ready because he's coming for you. So ja, Christo, ek sien, ja, weet nie wie was nou eerste gewees, jy of Chris nie. Maar, Christo,
was Chris.
Was het Chris gewees? Okay. Right, Chris.
Chris was eerste.
Touchy subject. Prof, the way I understand and I do believe in the UIM is that we believe in the rule of law. And firstly and secondly, our problems come first before anybody else's problems. However, I don't know whether Nicolas Maduro is a cartel, gang buster, gang leader, drug peddler. That's irrelevant to me. That's for a different court of law. What going into a sovereign nation and removing their president is against international law, whether he's a criminal or not. The problem with that is that even if he is indeed this drug dealer and all that, and Trump has removed him, it has to go through Congress in America. It didn't. To invade a sovereign country willy-nilly just because you feel that you have the power to do that makes the whole world uneasy. You can invade any country if they don't like your policies, or it's just not in line with what they call national security. Make no mistake, we at the UIM, me at the UIM, we're not happy with the way South Africa has been ruled. It was governed, it'd be a different story. But whether we like it or not, there is due process. And as I said in my videos, the only way you remove a president is to vote him in. Or unless there's been an international ruling and that overrules whatever we want. But I feel that he should have gone for due process. And then if the due process worked and Congress said, yes, go and do it, and it was in line with international law, then he doesn't have the problems that he has now. But what he's actually done is he's made the smaller countries like South Africa and any other little country who do not fall in line with the, let's call it the American dream, has made us very nervous. So, you know, there are a lot of good South Africans in this country. They are fabulous South Africans. We have a beautiful country. There are a few people in this country that, well, you know, we can give the coordinates and stuff and that'll work. But there is due process, and South Africa needs to work on South Africa's problem. That's what we need to do. And I think that to a large degree, what they do in America and what they do in Venezuela, it's got nothing to do with us here.
But it's still got an impact in South Africa, on South Africa, doesn't it? Still got an impact on South Africa.
It does. You know, it has terrible impact on South Africa. But South Africa has a lot of South African problems that these things will just exasperate. But we need to return to our basics and get our things sorted out before we want to tackle the world as Venezuela, and if they invade Colombia or whatever they want to invade. I mean, we can't even fix all our potholes. But our ambassador wants to send on military to assist in Venezuela. Come on. Send your military to fix the road. That's a good thing to do.
Send the general.
Staans Afrikaners en maak nie land reg, word jy probeer om ander mense se lande te regeer.
Ja, ek hoor wat jy sê, Chris. Christo, kom ons kry jou opinie.
Prof, as ek kan inkom. Ek wil net vir uiteindelik vir Chris sê dat Maduro was nie abducted nie. Hy was gearresteer. Weet, Trump het net Biden se bounty uitgevoer. Daar was lank al 25 miljoen bounty op Maduro se kop gesit. So die vorige regering het al reeds besluit dat hy 'n krimineel is en vervolg moet word. So eintlik wat Trump gedoen het, weet hy die man gaan vang. So en jy weet dat mense sê hy was die president van die land, maar hy was nie die president van die land nie. Hy is 'n diktator. Die mense, as mens luister van die mense van Venezuela wat sê hy het die verkiesing gesteel, die oppositie het dit gewen in 2024 en hy het dit net enforce met sy militêre magte. En natuurlijk, jy weet, as mens gepraat oor Trump en olie en so, of course het dit oor die olie ook gegaan. Dit is 'n groot rede daarvoor, want China het olie gekry ver onder die markprys as so ver onder die markprys as die res van die wêreld. So onmiddellik is hulle bietjie in die keel geruk. Die Russe het natuurlik hulle olie gekry waar hulle onder sanksies was, het hulle olie gepomp dat die sopspat daarso. Iran wat net maak wat hulle wil, het hulle ondersteunende wapens. So op die einde van die dag weet die mense die vier mense en ons praat van los, ek stem saam, ons moet onder die wet bly, maar hoekom werk die wet net vir Amerika? Weet, al die ander lande kan maak wat hulle wil, doen wat hulle wil, invade wat hulle wil, maar weet, wanneer Amerika ding doen, is dit nou 'n verskriklike groot sonde. Ons eie president het toe met Bashir wat hier was, wat gearresteer moes geword het hy dit nie gedoen nie. So hy het ook nie die wette nagekom nie. Maar ek dink die grootste probleem wat ons Suid-Afrikaanse leiers of president en sy manne het, is dat Mondoro gaan begin sing. En daar gaan baie meer inligting uitkom. En ek gaan dit nou nie vanaand op die radio bespreek nie, maar daar was baie meer betrokke hierby met Suid-Afrika, Venezuela, Rusland en Iran as wat daar lappe is. Dis hoekom dit so groot issue is. Maar ja, ek weet op die einde van die dag hierdie hele situasie met Venezuela kom nie van vandag af nie. Dis 'n lang termyn as mense na al die historie gaan kyk wat gebeur het die laaste 15 jaar dan kan mens verstaan hoekom Donald Trump besluit het vir veiligheidsredes hoekom hy gedoen het wat hy gedoen het. En ja, dis maar my opinie, maar ek dink daar is baie meer betrokke as wat ons kan dink en sien. En die ander ding is wat die waarskuwing daar buite is, en ek dink wat die mense begin verstaan is dat hierdie diktators wat net maak wat hulle wil, is 'n lyntjies bietjie kort. Hulle is raak nou redelik versigtig. En ongelukkig, jy weet, of jy nou 'n Trump like of nie like nie, is hy doen wat hy sê. Ja, en dit is seker so dat die mense, die kleiner lande is bekommerd oor sekere goeders, maar ek bedoel, as jy jou dinge doen, jou wette doen, daar geen vervolging is of geen lelike dade teen die burgers gedoen is nie, dan dink ek is jy veilig. Dan moet die mense verstaan. Weet jy, is in 'n veilige plek. Maar daar is 'n klomp kriminele wat die wêreld op die stadium 'n vieslike plek maak. En ons goeie mense ly daaronder. En ek bedoel, weet, as ons nie standpunte neem, net kyk wat gebeur in Iran. Iran op die stadium is mense besig om standpunt in te neem. Ek bedoel, in die verlede toe mense standpunt ingeneem het in Venezuela, as hulle moet panse voertuie eenvoudig net doodgery. Weet jy, maar die wêreld praat nie daarvan nie. Dis net vir my altyd so verskriklik. As jy gaan kyk wie die Maduro is en wat hy gedoen het aan die mense, is hy 'n skrikbewind diktator. Maar ja, dis maar my twee sent van my gedagte, die bietjie inligting wat ek het, maar hierdie is 'n groot storie, baie groter ding as wat ons kan imagine.
Baie dankie Christo.
Dankie prof.
Moet ons sê, ek meen aan die einde van die dag, en ek dink ek wil aansluit by Chris daarby, is dat moet ons nie eerder konsentreer op ons eie inhuisprobleme wat ons het nie. Ek kry net die gevoel dat ons regering, die geagte regering van nasionale eenheid, wat hierdie land met bedryf en bestuur, is besig om die aandag weg te vat wat werklik waar moet gebeur hierso, en gedoen moet word. En daarom fokus hulle so baie met dit wat in die wêreld gebeur, om ons aandag daar te kry wat ons moet probeer vergeet, wat regtig waar die kwessies in hierdie land is, met die verkiesing wat om die draai is. Chris, ek sien jy wil weer ietsie bysit.
I think that's a discussion myself and Krista should have later, not on air. But yes, at least we both end up with the same thing of we need to focus on South Africa's problem. That's what we need to do. That is the most important thing. And yes, everybody, including the current ruling party, will do anything to distract us from or distract the South African public from focusing on the problems in this country. So, yeah.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, we got about 10, 12 minutes left, but time is flying every Thursday. Jacques, ek dink is tyd dat jy bietjie jou opinie van as president van die party bietjie vir ons lig hierso.
Yes, thank you, Prof. I just want to make it very clear that the UIM has not issued an official statement on this Venezuelan-USA conflict or this matter. We haven't issued a formal statement on it yet. So right now, there's no official stance on the matter as far as the UIM is concerned. We do have a lot of different opinions as individuals within the party. I think all of these opinions have merit. You can listen to Chris's argument, it has merit. You can listen to Chris's argument, it has merit. All I can say, from my personal opinion, and this is, like I said, we will issue a public statement on this at a later stage. We are still watching things develop. We are still doing a bit of research on these issues and on this particular matter. I think it's very reckless to just come out all guns blazing when something like this happens, and to just issue a statement on it immediately without doing significant or sufficient research on the subject. That's reckless. This is not what we do. Personally, I think, there's the right thing is not always the legal thing to do. And the legal thing to do is not always the right thing to do. There's a very fine line between the two. I could make the argument that if countries didn't interfere in the business of other countries, then Hitler would never have been removed from power. That's one opinion. Another opinion could be that, same as what Chris said, is, because some countries can't just have absolute power to do as they like and to invade countries as they see fit. But at the end of the day, we are living in an era where, there are terrible things happening around the world. There are terrible people around the world. And there are people that are, in charge and people that are in leadership positions in countries, and those countries just have absolutely no answer to those people or have no means of removing those people from power because they rig elections, they threaten their citizens, they oppress their citizens. And, if good people out there are not going to stand up and take action, then, these innocent people are going to be left to their own devices. And I think this will be a very interesting topic, actually, to discuss. Maybe international laws need to look at some rule changes because there has to be an alternative solution to a country trying to solve its own problems. When that country is in a situation where they are being ruled by, or they are in a dictatorship, and there's no other way for them to, get out of that situation. But then obviously there's the threat of power being abused and people taking the law into their own hands. And it's a very, 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 very controversial and a very difficult topic to discuss. That is why we are primarily focused on South African issues. It's important that we as a party have an opinion on international politics. But like I said, that should not be a reckless opinion, and it should be a well thought out and well-researched opinion on that particular topic, which we are not ready for at the moment. I see there's a lot of parties that have come out and shot from the hip and quickly gave their views and opinions on this issue, and there's a lot of people doing it on social media as well. I think that's reckless. It's the same with the Gaza-Israeli conflict. There's a lot of divided public opinions out there. But we are a principled party. We have principles in the UIM, and we will always stick to our principles. But like I said, we will issue a statement on this at a later stage. But for now, I think, like I said, there's a lot of opinions, and a lot of these opinions have merit. I have done some research, as far as you can trust media and social media. And, I mean, you have to trust media or you have to trust the history books at some point. But what I'm hearing from this Maduro character is not good. What I've seen about this guy, or what I've read and what I've seen in documentaries, is he's not a nice guy. He's a guy that is, he's rigged elections, apparently, according to what I've read and what I've seen. And I mean, he's taken Venezuela from being one of the richest countries in the world and the biggest oil producer to absolute poverty. And I don't know if that situation was improving at all. And I know for a fact that, this Trump threatened to remove him way back in, I think, I saw an interview as early back as 2022, when Trump said that he was going to do that. Now, if you want to give Trump credit for anything, you might as well give him credit for sticking to his promises. That's one thing I can say.
Absolutely.
What his motives are, what the motives are, and what the agenda is, we won't know. Is he after the oil? Is he after the riches? Is it purely an act of a legal act to remove a criminal and to charge him and to try him in a court? We won't know, Prof, because we are not American citizens. We are South Africans looking from the outside in, and we have opinions on these issues. But like I said, this is a difficult topic to discuss. I think we will, as a party and as an executive, discuss it in depth, and then we will release a statement on it. But we are definitely, I'll finish with this, we are definitely in favor of good people standing up and getting rid of bad people. I can say that much.
Thank you very much, Jacques. Appreciate it. Christy, ek gaan vir jou opsit en dan gaan ek hardop aan na Benjamin toe, Cherise, Chris wat hy sy afsluiting ook kan doen, sy favorite persoon van die week vir ons uitlig. Ja, Christo?
Ja, prof, kom maar net weer terug. Waarna ons praat is weet. If good people do not react to bad, evil will prevail. Dankie.
Dankie, Christo. Benjamin, your last 30 seconds or so, what do you want to leave with our listeners this evening?
Prof, aan die luisteraars, to the listeners, die munisipale verkiesing kom nader. En dit is ons kans om 'n werklike verskil te maak in ons gemeenskappe. It is not about party politics. Dit gaan oor water wat vloei, strate wat veilig is, vullis wat opgetel word en leiers wat verantwoordelikheid aanvaar. Vote vir mense wat saam met jou leef, jou stryd verstaan en aan jou sal antwoord. Your vote is your voice. Gebruik dit om leiers verantwoordelik te hou en die Mfuleni mense te bou wat ons almal verdien. Ek maak dit, en maak dit tel mense, maak dit tel. Dankie.
Dankie, Benji. Cherise, your final thoughts.
I would just like to say to the people of George, Mossel Bay, Knysna, the Southern Cape area, to stand up, rise up, let your voice be heard, and do what needs to be done. Look at the past, and look at what the future can be. Because what I always say to people is your past determines your future. So if you keep on going back to your past, you will keep on staying in your past. So do the change, make the change, vote for who you need to have that change for and which you know will support you, and do the changes that needs to be done. So from my side, that's all from me.
Thank you very much, Cherise. Chris?
Prof, you know something, Jacques mentioned a couple of weeks ago that a lot of people say politics does not affect them. Politics affects every single person. It affects you when you pay your rates and tax, your water, your lights, your roads that don't work, and you pay at the petrol price. And people need to understand that if you want us, the UIM, to effect change, you need to put us in parliament. That's the bottom line. You need to put us in parliament. We can sugarcoat it, we can debate, we can fight with each other, and ons kan stry. Ek like hierdie party en daai party en hierdie party. But we're the only party that from day one has said, please hold us accountable. We answer to you. And if you want a party that's going to be transparent, that's going to say, here's the books, have a look at them. You want a party where you know who your ward councillor is, he's involved with you, he reports back to you. You want an NEC that works for that province, then you know where to put your X. There where it says UIM. That's what you have to do. It's time, South Africa, to rise, stop playing games, and vote for the people who want to be accountable to you. That's the first thing. That's the most important message. But my humorous part of the message this week is the Mumish of the Week.
That's what we're waiting for.
That goes to our Honourable Minister of Defence, Angie Motshekga. She single-handedly has made sure that every toy store in South Africa is running out of water wings and little canoes. And if indeed Mr. Trump had to come and remove Mr. Ramaphosa, what we will hear Angie Motshekga say is, Donald, go to the principal's office. So that is my Mumish of the week.
Thank you, Chris. Donald, moenie. Donald gestaan in die hoek. Daai ene. Christo, jou laaste paar afsluitsredes.
Dankie Prof. Ja nee, daar is dit was weer 'n goeie aand vanaand. Ek sien die donderstorms hier is nou hier. So ek weet nie hoe gaan ek nog op die lug wees nie. Ek wil net vir die mense sê ja, dis belangrik. Ons kan hierdie alles verander in een dag en dit is met 'n verkiesing. Ek bedoel as 'n mens hierdie powers het wat die ANC so misbruik het en verniet het en verwoes het, kan ons 'n verskriklike groot verskil maak in baie omstandighede. En ons praat van maatskaplike werkers en al daai goed wat in plek kan wees as die geld reg gespandeer word. So geseënde aand en geseënde week vir die mense en dankie Prof weer eens vir 'n ongelooflike goeie program.
Baie dankie Christo. Jacques, die president van die UIM, Jacques, jy het so 'n minuut, so 'n bietjie meer as 'n minuut om jou afsluitrede vir ons te gee asseblief.
Thank you, Prof. Yeah, there's two things that I will definitely not be doing again after tonight. One is eat steak. I think I've lost my appetite for steak after tonight. The second thing is pay any attention to the ANC when they talk about, when they give their opinions on international politics or military tactics, that's for sure. And then I just want to say, irrespective of what President Trump is doing or what he has done, I have no doubt that he has America and Americans' best interests at heart. And that is exactly what the UIM, that's exactly who we are, just from a South African perspective. The UIM has South Africa and South Africans' interests at heart. And our country comes first, and the people of this country comes first as well. And although we have opinions on international politics, we are not going to involve ourselves in international politics. We've got a country to save and people to save in South Africa, and that's where our priorities lie. Thanks, Prof.
Thank you, man. Thanks a million, Mr. President. I want to end off with my biblical viewpoint for this week. But before I do that, I just want to say thank you to each and everyone. President Jacques Taljaard, Secretary General Christo Jonk, and the local election Gauteng leader, Benjamin Honeyball, and my Deputy Chair, Frame Fuleni, our national spokesperson, Chris Erodes, and last but not least, our field manager down there in George for the local elections, Sarich Costa. And you all, I'm sure, will be back with us in the near future back here on Joy Radio. Now, Proverbs 13:3 tells us the following. It says, he that keeps his mouth keeping his life, but he that open wide his lips shall have destruction. En om net veel in Afrikaans te gee, hy sê, wie sy mond bewaak, bewaar sy lewe. Wie sy lippe wyd oopmaak, vir hom is daar ondergang. En dis 'n waarskuwing vir die regering. Hulle is vinnig om te praat, vinnig om hulle monde oop te maak, lippe wyd oop te rek, en sonder om te dink, en die woord van die God wat ek dien, maak dit vir ons baie duidelik. Bewaak jou mond, bewaak wat daar uitkom, want dit gaan jou dier te staan kom. En daarmee sê ons vir julle, goeienaand, tot volgende week, selfde tyd, selfde plek, dan ons weer terug hierso op Joy Radio, net op Straight Talk with by UIM.
Father, we thank you for your guidance with the discussions on the program this evening. Lord, be with each and everyone throughout the weekend and week until we gather again. Bless every listener in Jesus' name. Amen.